I do get guys who say to me, I've never been approached by any woman in London. I've lived here for X amount of years and it just has never happened before. And they always say to me, fair play, your confidence, you came up to 5 of us. For me, I go into it being like, I want to make someone smile. That's like the number one. And so if that person then goes to me, I don't want to be in your video, that's fine. And I tell them, I've made you smile. That's all that matters.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Dating, Laughter and Disasters with me, Lulu Johnson, a show that's all about the highs and lows of modern dating, and on this podcast, we're laughing about it. Joining me on the show today, all the way from London town, is Miss Nico Slater. How are you, Nico?
Hi, I'm very good, thanks. How are you doing? I love the pink. Very nice. We're both wearing pink, actually.
Pink to make the boys wink, as my mother always said. That's failed me miserably these days. Nico, you are a content creator based in London. Mm-hmm. And I contacted you because I love your videos. You basically post videos where you approach men with these fantastic, witty, I want to say cheesy, but effective pickup lines. And I've been following your work all summer and I think you're great. Where did this all start?
Yeah, it started around March time. So for me, I have been wanting to be a radio presenter full time for a while now. And I have been networking, talking to people, but I met someone, a close friend of mine, who basically said that she would advise that I do more content and put myself out there. So I remember thinking either I go on TikTok and do makeup videos, or I find something that I actually enjoy. I kind of felt like with makeup, I almost feel like there's an oversaturation within that space on social media. And no offense to anybody who is doing it, but I'm just saying, I think for me, I remember thinking, how am I going to stick out in this, because my makeup is very basic. It's just very, very basic. So I remember thinking, you know what, I've been on social media for a long time. What is it that I enjoy watching? What is it that I enjoy? What's a typical account that I will scroll for hours and hours on? And I remember thinking there were a few accounts and they all had to do with making strangers laugh. And I remember being like, okay, let's start with that. It was really nerve-wracking, I remember, because I contacted all of my friends and my sister and I was like, I need you to help me film something. And everyone was literally like, ew, cringe, I'm not helping you do that. So I got into, one of my friends was up for it, and we started off by going to the tube station in London and knocking on windows and blowing kisses to strangers and getting their reactions. And that was exhilarating. It was really fun. And then I didn't think it would go anywhere. I really didn't. But I don't know what happened, but I just started carrying on my weekends. After work, I would go and do that. And then there was a point where I thought, let me venture out and do something else. So I wanted to do something more interactive, like something where I would actually be speaking with people. Because I think when we were doing the tube stuff by the windows, there was a window, you couldn't really talk to anyone. Mm-hmm. So I wanted that kind of personal feel to it. And I remember one day I was just hanging out with my friend in the park on a Friday. I saw this guy, I thought he was hot. And I went up to him and I said, I think I said, is your shirt boyfriend material? And he laughed and he smiled and I saw and he was just like, oh, thank you. And I remember in that moment thinking, okay, this could be something. This could be, and I did it as a joke initially, but I thought, okay, how about bringing this as part of my content. And then we started working on it with my friend and he was filming. And then I ended up thinking, you know what, I need proper Ray-Ban glasses so that you can really kind of see that reaction and get those initial shock faces and the confusion of it. And that's pretty much how it started. It was just a random day in the park and we were just playing about and I just said a boyfriend material joke to someone and I was like, I might as well make this content. And so that's what I did. We ended up going around Soho, going around Camden, all these areas and just spotting hot guys together. And so I was wingmanning for my friend and he was wingmanning for me.
Nice.
And so it was just really fun because it was like, he would be like, hot guy. And I'd be like, okay, let me go record him. Let me go and do my corny chat up line to him. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how it started.
That's amazing. The boyfriend material. I need to steal that one from you, because that was actually going to be one of my questions, was how are you filming it? Because you're always at eye level with them. And I was saying, oh, she must be using their Ray-Bans or Google
Yes,
glasses.
yeah. So we first started with my phone. So my friend used to be the one who recorded, but we discovered that it was picking up, but it was just so far away, and you couldn't really see the person as
Mm-hmm.
much as possible, because my friend would be and also it was quite distracting, because if I started speaking to a person and my friend was there, they would be like, what's good? Their eyes would be kind of like
Aha.
darting from
Mm-hmm.
me. So it didn't look as natural and polished. So I decided to get the Ray-Ban Meta glasses instead, because I felt that would have that kind of more personal feel with that person. And I think it's great as well because I'm not included in it. I mean, you can hear my voice, but it's more about the person,
Mm-hmm.
which I
Mm-hmm.
really love. And I think you also feel like you're talking to that person, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not that you're recording them; you're actually talking to them, and then they happen to be recorded on your
Yeah.
glasses. And your reaction, sorry, the reactions that you're getting from the men are so positive. Like it just made my day. I was like, God, I need to like do this. And so I attempted one of your pickup
Okay.
lines here in Berlin. Now, I don't know if you know much about the people in Berlin, but they're not like people. They're not like the people in the UK and Ireland, where they're forthcoming with a bit of banter, right? So I did try it. I actually used the one, is your name Wi-Fi, because I think we have a great connection.
Mhm.
I did it, but I said it in German to the local Späti man. A Späti man is like a news agent owner. And my friends dared me to do it because I had been telling them about your videos. And they're like, just say it to that guy. I was like, okay. So I said it, and the guy absolutely loved it, that he got his friends involved and everything. And I've never seen men smile so much. I think that was the first time they must have ever been approached by a woman. And I was just like, yeah, it works. And so, like, have you always had good responses from the men that you go up to?
I would say 90% of the time I do, and then there is the 10% when I don't. The 90% of the time, yeah, I mean, I mainly approach people with their friends. I
Mm-hmm.
prefer it.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people say to me, "That's so nerve-wracking. That's so scary." Da da da. And I get that, but I prefer a group of three, two, four, five, just because I think there's something about approaching that one person in front of their friends, and it makes it this kind of camaraderie, and
Yeah.
everyone's like, ah. And I think it's also for me, after I talk to them, I tend to after I do the line, I tend to actually talk to them. So I don't just run off. I tend to be like, how's your day? Who are you? How old are you? What do you do? And I've made, weirdly enough, I've made quite a few friends from that. So,
Oh.
yeah, I actually have. And I've even met some mutuals because I do DJing and radio stuff, so I've met some mutuals in the creative space in London as well through it. I get invited to things. It's just for me, it's great banter. It's great banter, and I get to really meet people that I would not usually not meet. And I think it's also just really made me realize that you know on the other side of fear, like when you see someone, you're like, oh, they look so pretty, I'm intimidated. Da, da. It's like if you just break that wall, there's potentially like really great things when you take that step. And I know that obviously not everyone can do it, but I think for me, I've just noticed it's been great. And also, I love getting to know new people. I love I love wholesomeness. I love making people laugh, smile, that kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. My life, in terms of my career, I have been doing jobs where I have to talk to people. So I think it's a skill that I have refined for a long, 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 long time. And I think that's why with this, it's fairly easy for me, because I think I look at them and I go, either they're going to say no or they're going to say yes. I'm not going to die. Like, it's not going to be the end of the world. And in the instances where I get the 10% negative, so yes, that does, I mean, midsummer while I was doing this, I did feel very discouraged, because there was one that sticks out. There was one guy, I went up to him and his friends, and he just said "fuck off" to me right in my face, and it was really weird because I was kind of like taken aback. And he was just like, "Oh, you're recording me, get out of here." And then his friend was like, "Oh, he's a very well-known streamer." I actually don't even know who he is, and that's not me being shady, but I genuinely I don't keep up with that. And his friend was like, "Oh, he's a popular streamer. Are you trying to use him for your views?" And I was just like, okay, what's going on here? It was really, really weird. Anyway, I just said to him, no worries, have a good day, and don't worry, I will delete the video. So like I think typically what tends to happen for me is that I just go in and do the video, and then I'll be like, oh, it's for my TikTok, da da da. But I think he probably was upset that I was recording him without, but yeah, it was just a crazy reaction and it threw me off. And it kind of made me nervous for like a good 2-3 weeks after that, because I was like, oh my God, it made me really, really, it kind of set me back a little bit. And my confidence did take a dip in that time. But ever since, I just choose to focus on the positive interactions more than the negative ones. So yeah.
But that's such a pity because it just takes one person to set you back, right? It's just like,
Yeah.
and it's quite nerve wracking, but at least 90% of the other men, because I love the reactions that you get. And it's like you'd said, the camaraderie when you go up to a group of men and you hear them in the video, they're all like, way. Because women, like, this is why I love what you do. And I do genuinely find you inspiring, because women, we do need to make more, of the first moves, because we've been so used to guys doing it, growing up at the teenage discos, going clubbing and things. I was always, I wouldn't have gone up to men at all. And now I'm in my 30s, coming, getting closer to 40, and I have to try new things. Lads, if you're enjoying the show, why don't you like, share, subscribe, and be sure to rate it on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever the hell you listen to this podcast. Back to the show. Do they thank you for it? Do you think they're totally surprised by it?
Yeah, I would say a good 95% of the time they are surprised. I mean, the 5% when they're not, I don't know how, but I would say a large majority, they are very surprised by it. I think it's also because we're in London. I feel like people in London are very to themselves.
Yeah.
And I think also, even when I started this, I wanted my content to be different, because I feel like here it's about stick to yourself and be poised, and and I mean, I've had many comments where people say what I do is very cringe, and fair enough. No, it's not. I'm at an age now where I don't really get affected by small stuff like that, because people are going to say what they say, and that's absolutely fine. And I think I've accepted that I am cringe, if that makes sense. Like, I appreciate that other people wouldn't do what I do, and I get it. And so I have accepted that about me, that I am eccentric and I am cringe and corny, whatever it is. But yeah, it just brings me joy. Sorry, going back to your question, yes, I do get guys who say to me, I've never been approached by any woman in London. I've lived here for X amount of years, and it just has never happened before. And they always say to me, fair play for your confidence. Yeah, that I get that a lot. That's the main compliment. It's like, fair play, your confidence. You came up to 5 of us. And I'm like, yeah, I did.
That must spur you on to keep going, because like I love it, and it does. I don't think you're cringe. Cringe is also a positive thing, but I just see it as confidence. I'm like, this woman has balls to go up to these super hot guys, may I say. Like, I mean, I see them and I'm just like, I couldn't go up to a guy that good looking. But like, I always believe we're all at eye level. But still, I'm kind of like, I don't want to go up to him, so but you've got your wingman, like, so you record with your glasses, but is your friend still there, or are you sometimes just doing it by yourself?
I do it by myself. So I've been doing it by myself since my friend was only with me for like 2 recordings way, way, way earlier in the summer, but now I do them myself completely.
Oh, good for you. Do you like have to psych yourself up beforehand, or are you just like happy go lucky? You're like, hey, hottie, I like you.
It depends. I think there are some days where I wake up and I'm like, yeah, let's do it, and I don't have to psych myself up at all. But there are times where if I've had a negative interaction the last time I recorded, I will need to take a long walk. So I will walk ahead of going to a specific spot. I will listen to music to hype myself up. I'll wear a really nice outfit that I really feel comfortable and I really like. Sometimes I even pray about it, honestly, because I think if I'm feeling so tense, I just need to do everything to make myself feel as balanced as possible. So yeah, that's how I psych myself up. And then I take like a good 20-minute walk, and then the first hot guy I see, I don't approach him, because in my head I'm like, okay, we're getting ready. Okay, first, we've seen it, perfect. Second one, let's go. So that's how I do it.
But the men are never going to forget you either. This is the great thing, because they don't get approached anymore. So you'll always be remembered as, I got chatted up by this girl once, And do you get phone numbers? Have you been on dates with anyone?
Yeah, I do get phone numbers. So what happens typically when I do meet them is, yeah, if we have a connection, um, people tend to do the safe route, which is swapping Instagrams.
Mm-hmm.
Some just go straight for numbers. I have noticed that a lot of the guys don't follow through though. Yeah, at the beginning, I used to be like, "Oh my God, I've met someone great," and then I just don't hear back from them. And I do, obviously, I will be like, "Lovely to meet you," da da da. But I think sometimes when they look through my Instagram, and they see that this is what I do, it's not just a one-off, they tend to get dissuaded, if that's a word. Like they
Yeah.
get put off by it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've even had one guy who we were about to go on a date, and then he basically cancelled, and he was like, "I don't really feel comfortable about someone I'm dating or a potential girlfriend doing what you do." And I was like, "Yeah, fair enough. It's different strokes for different folks." And I think it's also made me realize kind of like what I am looking for in a person. I think I want someone who's very self-assured and
Mm-hmm.
trusts to know that, you know, it's a hobby. This is what I'm doing, but it doesn't take anything away from you just because, I do it.
But that's the thing, and like that's why I wear the mask, or why I have a different name. Maybe you'd recognize me, maybe you won't. Because I, as much as I podcast about dating in Berlin, I would also like to find someone. And I mean, are you doing this, of course, with the intention of bringing joy to people's lives? But are you also chatting up the men in the hopes of actually going on dates with them?
I think it's like it's three things. One is I'm doing it to kind of like just make people smile, spread wholesomeness. The other side of it is obviously for my TikTok, for my content creation, because obviously, like I said, I want to put myself out there, and hopefully I'll be doing radio someday. That's number two. And then number three, it would be nice to meet someone. If I meet them through this way, that would be great as well. So I just look at it as like me opening myself up to the world. And yeah.
Yeah, and like that, I mean, there's so many of us that are content creators and things like that, that you would want to meet a guy who can respect what you do. It's just a bit of fun, and you're building your brand, and that's what's important. So, and I'm like that. I would need someone who can respect what I'm doing, because that's just who we are. That's part of your personality as well, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there has been times where I've done a line to someone and then they go, because typically when I do the recording, I prefer to ask people if they want to be on in my videos or not. Um, and then if like there's been times where a guy will say, "I really do fancy you, but I don't want to be in your video, and I don't really like influencers and and content creators." And I'm like, "Fine." And he'll be like, "Okay, let's go on a date." And I go, "Respectfully, no, because realistically, it won't make sense to be with someone who doesn't respect what I do. Even if you think it's stupid or whatever, I feel like I'm at a stage in my life where I know who I am. I know
Mm-hmm.
myself quite well, and um, I have all these wacky ideas, and I love doing them, and I like being free. And I feel like being with someone who kind of suppresses that wouldn't probably not work out long term. So
100%.
I tend to tell them on the spot that I'm like, "Oh, I don't really think it's gonna work."
Love that for you. And do you have any particular chat up line that is the most, that gets the most responses, the best response, the most popular?
It depends what response is. So I think, and I even said this in one of my videos, I think if you feel brave and you want to get a guy's number, I would say the one where I say, I think there's something wrong with my phone, it needs your number in it, it gets you the numbers, because I think it's very much straight to the point. The
True.
person does what it pretty much tells the person what you need from them. I think if you just want to be cheeky and make someone smile, do the "is your shirt boyfriend" material. That one is always a great one. It's quick, and also you don't forget it. I think sometimes some of the lines I do are quite long, so if you're so nervous and your brain is thinking,
Uh-huh.
just go for the boyfriend material. Super simple and quick.
My favorite one that you did recently was, "Do you like raisins?" And how about a date? I was like, this is brilliant. Like, do you make these up yourself?
Um, some of them I do, but some of them I don't. So I get most of them I get them from my followers. Funnily enough, I get lots of
Oh.
DMs, yeah, from people saying, "Do this one next, do this one next, do this one next." So I just collect all of them. And so if if I go filming for like I just try all different versions, and if one lands, that's the one I'm gonna carry on with. But if the one doesn't, I just obviously throw it in the bin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what would your tips be to my female listeners for actually just approaching men? I know that you said you've gone for a walk and you put on your music, you put on your feel good clothes. Do you think like walking around with a smile, I think really helps as well, right? Because if you're smiling to yourself and you're giving yourself a bit of confidence as well.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, for me, I would say that looking and feeling your best is probably number one. And I'm not, by the way, this is not coming from a place of like, oh, you should lose weight, you should get a boob job, you should no, not at all. What I'm saying is that you know what you're most comfortable in, what you know what makes you happiest. So that can even include having an ice cream before you go out. That can, like, literally, I think it's almost like you are, when it's Christmas and you're seasoning the meat and whatever, you got to season yourself, like, wear your best outfit. That can be something you really feel comfortable in. If it's doing your hair, do your hair. If it's doing your makeup, do your makeup. And then when you go out there, I would highly recommend that you kind of, you're a bit upright, and I think always have the mentality that you deserve to be walking on the street. You have just as much right as anybody to be approaching these people. Like, no one is better than anyone. And even if they do seem intimidating, you might probably seem intimidating to them. Like, I think you've got to have kind of like a self-belief and a self-confidence where you're like, okay, this is me, this is what I bring, and I'm gonna go after that person because I want them, and that's okay. Like, I think it's all about kind of like tuning.
Believing in yourself, right?
Yeah, 100%, 100%, and 100%. And I personally don't believe anyone is above anyone, to be honest. So that kind of idea of seeing someone being like, oh, they're too good for me, I'm not going to approach. No, don't do that. Do not do that. Just go for it and just smile. 100% do the smile. Do the eye contact, then do the smile, and then just charge and go at them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I'd love to get more into it. I haven't, so I tried your Wi-Fi one on the local Spatey man, and then in the summer I started using these stickers which say certified hot, and I go around to the men and I give it to them, right? Because it's kind of different to do the pickup lines in Berlin in particular. We're just a special breed of people. People, like you say, that they're quite closed off in London. They're not as forthcoming with spontaneity here when you just go up to guys. And so when I tried it with the stickers, I have gone out with my gorgeous friends. I've gone out street parades to beer gardens where the vibe is lively, and I've chosen what I think is a good time to approach men. And you go up to them, and I've gone up to them and I give them the sticker. And one guy recently, he was like, yeah, so this is awkward. What am I supposed to do with it? And I'm like, just accept it, enjoy it, and move on, And I've been trying it, but for me, it's not actually working in Berlin. Like, what is my aim? My aim is to really just have small talk with people and get back to just talking to people IRL. You know what I mean?
I mean, I would say as well, another thing is manage your expectations. I think don't go in there thinking I'm going to meet my husband. Don't go in there thinking I'm meeting my Prince Charming. I don't really think it just puts too much pressure on you, and there's a much higher chance of you being very disappointed if things don't work. I think just go into it in a more like, because for me, I go into it being like, I want to make someone smile. That's like the number one. And so if that person then goes to me, I don't want to be in your video, that's fine. And I tell them I've made you smile. That's all that matters. And so I think you should go in there with not such a high, because I think if you do it, then that means just the stakes are way too high. And yeah, just easygoing is the best recipe, in my opinion.
That's the thing. And that used to be my way of dating, is like, my first date, I'd be like, oh, he could be the one for me. And my expectations were just too high. This was in my 20s. Like, and now I don't really date anymore because I'm fed up of the Berlin boys. But like this, when I go up to people, it's just for fun. It's just to talk to people. And so they'll remember this nice interaction, because in Berlin, we are not interacting with anyone. Our heads are down, looking at our phones on the train. We are also, and maybe it's the same in London, we walk around with resting bitch faces.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I would be lying if I said I don't have that. If I'm running my errands, if I'm going to the gym, I know I've got meetings, I am very much like game face, and I'm just very much like this. And I think that's why I really love doing my content, because I think it allows me to free myself from that. And I look at it as I'm just going on a walk, and if I meet great people, I meet great people, and that's great. And so I think there's just something about that kind of easiness where you're just you let yourself just be without too much expectation that, I feel like things flow quite smoothly.
Just living and having fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think for me as well, I did notice that I come across, in the past, I've come across so many interesting looking people. And what I mean by that is, you might see someone and they have an outfit that you're like, wow, that's such a cool outfit. Oh, that person looks really interesting. Um, and I've often felt like I walked past someone like that and I do want to talk to them, but I can't. And so again, I think with my content, it's really allowed me to be more kind of like, oh, an interesting person. Talk to them. Just do it. Talk to them. Talk to them.
Yeah. Just ask the girl, where did she get her dress? Where did she get her
Yeah.
shoes? It's just
Yeah.
a chit chat, I love that. This episode is sponsored by Dalriata for all of your favourite Irish and British foods. Check them out now on dalriata.de or call into them on Vinstrasse 32 in Prenzlauer Berg. What is the dating scene like in London? Is it as hectic as it sounds?
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely. I've been in London for 6 years now, and I dated since I got here. And I would say it's a bit, I mean, it's one of the good things is that it's great because you get to meet so many people from all walks of life, different countries, different, there's just so much variety and diversity, which is great. Um, I think on the downside, in my opinion, I don't know about other people, but I found that for me, I think there tends to be kind of like lack of following through commitment, that kind of thing, and things end up being way more complicated than they need to be. I think also there's sometimes, I think maybe not just for London, but I think modern dating, there's quite a lot of ego that people step into these interactions with. And I personally feel like you should approach things from a place of, I want to get to know someone. I'm putting my best foot forward, and I'm not saying that in a way of saying that be a fake, be another version of yourself. No. But I think sometimes people withhold information and sometimes they're like, oh, I'll wait for this date. I'll wait for someone to do X, Y, Z. They prove themselves, then I do this. And it's just so many mental gymnastics. And I don't think it sounds very stressful for both parties involved. And I feel like in London, it tends to be like that. There's a lot of ghosting here as well. And it's just, yeah, if I made money from every time I've been ghosted, I probably would be a millionaire.
Yeah. Oh, it's exhausting. And I suppose London's a very transient city, like Berlin as well. People come for a couple of years, they leave again. So they don't feel like they will put down roots there. They don't want to get into long-term relationships and things like that as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely. I would say in London, I think situationships are quite huge here. And I think when I first moved, I was in my early 20s and it was a lot of that. And I think when you enter the world of dating as a young adult, I think it will happen. I think it is inevitable to be in a situationship, but I think that's where boundaries come in and you have to be really self-aware and not be stuck in that rut of the same cycle over and over again. But I think once you have a grip on who you are, what your boundaries are, your values, the whole shebang, I think you will be fine because you're able to spot the signs from afar.
That's my problem. That's why I'm single, because I know all the signs. I'm self-assured. I've been through it all. That I'm just like, well, I don't really want to put myself out there to just be hurt again, because it just keeps happening. Like, I'd taken about a year and a half off dating apps, went back on them this summer, and the guy ghosted me on the day we were meant to meet for our second date.
Oh, bless you.
And he was a 36-year-old, and I was like, why do I bother? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think for me, my biggest annoyance is always the lack of communication. I have a massive issue with it because, and I don't think it's gender specific. I can't really speak on women because I'm not dating women. I'm only dealing with men from that perspective. But I think I just hate it when someone can't just say, I'm not feeling the date anymore, or I'm not feeling this situation anymore. I'm not, there's nothing wrong with just saying that to someone. It doesn't make you a bad person. And it's, I think also maybe sometimes I do feel like the apps have probably made it easy to have that lack of accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And I also do think more women need to confront men when they do ghost them. And I know that nowadays people say, oh, just block them and leave it. But I do think we should be a bit more like, you're trying to contact me again. Don't do that. You left me out. You should really be honest with people when they hurt you. And I think hopefully they then learn to take accountability in the future, because I think it's really uncool when a 34-year-old guy just goes silent. It's like, you're not a child, you're not 4 years old. Just say it.
And I think men are afraid to feel uncomfortable in themselves and then to potentially upset someone by letting them down. And it's like, it's okay, man. I've met you twice. I can move on from this. Do you know what I mean? It's not nice if someone doesn't want to see you again if you wanted to see them, but like, you haven't claimed your love for them. You're not getting married. Like, I think, and as you said with the apps have made it easier for us to also avoid rejection. So we don't know how to actually handle it properly.
Yeah.
That's definitely ruined it. But it's good to know that it's not just Berlin, because we do complain a lot in Berlin about the situationship that everyone finds themselves in, and it's all just transient, and people just don't seem to care anymore. It's quite sad.
I'll tell you a story. So this was not in London though. This was in Paris. There was this guy I dated. He booked me a car to come to him. And so the taxi came, and when it got to him, he started fighting with my taxi driver, which was very weird. He was already drunk. I should have known, because he came out of the pub and he was like so drunk, and he was like staggering like this. And then he started, like, him and the taxi driver were like about to he was literally like this, and the taxi driver was about to open the door. And I was just standing there like, what's going on? It was at that moment, this was like I was 20 or 21 at this stage. I should have taken that as a sign to completely cut off the date, but I didn't. And then we go to the restaurant, and he proceeds to flirt with the women next to us throughout the whole date.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And again, he was barely eating anything. He was just slurring and ordering more champagne. And I was just like, oh my God, this is like a date from hell. The good thing was that this was happening like at 3 p.m. on like July, August, summertime. So it wasn't like I was in danger or anything. Then after the date finished, he then tried to lunge at me and kiss me. And I was like, no, I'm not, like, please, no. And then he proceeded to say, oh, you need to go back to Birmingham. Girls like you want to, he just kind of started to really berate me out of nowhere. And I was like to him, you know what? I think this date should be over now. You fought with the taxi driver, you flirted with the women next to us, and now you want to start coming at me when I have not done anything to you. And then anyway, he was like, okay, let me call you a cab. And I was like, no, you know what? I don't need your cab this time. I will get my own. I get in the cab, and then he then proceeds to like throw a bunch of cash at me, and I don't know what that meant. And I was like, okay. And I was like, okay, thanks for the cash, and I took it and I rolled it up the window, and I said to the driver, let's go, allez, let's go, let's leave this guy here. And then he just kept blowing up my phone, and he was like, I want to come and see you, da da da. And he was going to turn up at my workplace, and I literally told the guard, I gave them a picture, and I was like, this is the man, please make sure he does not come anywhere near the building. And this was in Paris, funnily enough, so yeah.
Wow, that's mental. You poor thing. And you were so young at the time as well.
I know. I was like 20, 21. And he was in his 30s. So.
No. And that was probably one of your first dating experiences. Would it have been?
Not first, but definitely like the formative experience of dating. Yeah, absolutely. But I think also because when you're young, I think you can see a car crash and you're just like, oh. And I think looking back on it, I probably should have left that date when I saw him visibly drunk and trying to fight the taxi driver.
Yeah, I just think maybe we're just in those moments where like it's not that bad. Maybe he'll like sober up at dinner and be, your knight in shining armor or something. But at least for me, I love making excuses for men's bad behavior. It's terrible, really. It's probably why I've been single for so long. Jesus, it's terrible.
It happens. I think that the younger you are, it makes sense. And I'm not saying that with age that changes, because people develop and grow and heal at different times, right? But I think if you're someone who sees the good in people, I suppose, and also when you're young, because you're so impressionable, you are prone to just be like, you never know. But
Oh God, poor baby Nico. So listen, Nico, we'll wrap up the episode with a piece of dating advice that I always like to ask my guests. Not that you haven't given us heaps of advice at the first part of the show with all of your interactions with men.
I would say this is what I use for me. In recent years, I feel like I've needed the advice more than giving other people, if that makes sense. I think
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a stage where I want to pour into myself quite a lot. And so one of the things I always say is like sometimes when I get frustrated and I'm like, oh, this is never going to happen for me. Um, I think I tell myself that I don't think there's anything wrong with a life of not having a partner, like a romantic partner. And I look around and I just see like, I'm very blessed. I'm very grateful. I already have so much love from my family and my friends. Um, and so I think I'm at peace with myself so much that there's a part of me that's kind of like, it's nothing to lose sleep over. And then there's the other side of me, which is like, oh, if I'm gonna meet someone, it's probably like a needle in a haystack sort of thing. You just have to keep going, but there's probably something in there, and it's just a case of enjoying where you're currently at the moment, and being at peace with yourself and living life. I think I personally feel like if you are single or you've never been, I've never been in a relationship, a romantic one, myself. Um, and I think I used to be very much like, oh, I'll do this when I have a partner. I'll do this when I have a partner. And it's like, I don't think life should be lived like that. I think you should just do everything you want to do now because there's no better moment than now. And I think you shouldn't put things on pause waiting for something that you are not in control of because we really are not in control of this. So yeah, that's what I would say. I would just say, honestly, enjoy your company, enjoy it as much as possible. And if that requires you, if you don't like your own company and you're aware of it, that's great. Do some therapy and learn how to be comfortable within yourself. And then on the other side of it, it's needle in a haystack. It will take time, but it will, if it's supposed to be in your journey, it will come. That's what I say.
That's so wise. It's lovely because I'm like that. I'm like, I've got so much going for me. All my pillars are standing, as I say, but just the romantic relationship isn't. And I'm like, that's fine because romantic relationships should not define our happiness. It should not stop us from living our lives. Go backpacking to Southeast Asia, go move to a new country by yourself, and you'll make so many friends. And also doing these things by yourself is way more empowering. You get to choose where you go, what you want to do. I've always traveled solo, and I think it's the best thing anyone can do.
Yeah, I love it. Oh my God, solo. I feel like long haul solo travel is just the best. It's
the dream. Yeah,
it really
love
is.
it.
I think especially when you meet people who are kind of like-minded and it's like you're making new fresh friends in a location that you had no idea about. I think it makes you realize that there's so much to life, so much. And I think it's such small jewels that you should look at and really, really enjoy and take joy in, and try the glass half full thing. And I know it's hard, but just try.
Definitely. We've only one life, so we may as well live it and enjoy it as much as we can.
I agree.
Lovely. Nico, thank you so much for coming on. That was great advice to end with. Very wise of you. Where can the listeners find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube you can just type in Nico Slater, Nico space Slater. My username is EAUDENICS. It's Eau de Nix. I basically got it from, in adverts when they say Eau de Parfum, and I thought, oh, okay, why not make it Eau de Nix? So that's what. Yes.
Very witty. And if they can find you, they'll definitely find you on my page because I keep reposting your
I love that. Thank you so much.
Your videos. Brilliant. Nico, thank you so much. And lads, if you two want to come on the show, slide into my DMs at datinginberlin_ on Instagram, or you can email me at datinginberlinbook@gmail.com. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.